You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. I have a lot of really cool friends who do a lot of really cool things. I wanted to make it a goal to sit down with these friends and spend about 15 minutes or so getting to know them better and find out about their past, present, and their future. The result is this show. My name is Grant Baciocco, and this is 15 Minutes With. Cheri Vanden is an actress and a writer, and today's guest on 15 Minutes With. Cheri, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. You and I met during the Henson Diversity Workshop, where you were becoming a puppeteer.
Yeah.
And we will talk about that, but I want to know, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Detroit, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. West side of Detroit. People will say, I grew up in Detroit, not a suburb of Detroit, because people will say, I'm from Detroit, and they're from, Novi, which is, 40 miles away from the city. So
right.
Detroit proper.
Excellent. And growing up, what was the first thing that kind of captured you creative-wise?
Oh, man. Oh, dude, you didn't say you were going to ask a question. That's a hard question. I think creatively it was actually watching my mom cook. That's what the first thing that captured my attention, that you can make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
She didn't believe in box macaroni and cheese, box cakes, any of that. So I would sit in the kitchen and watch her bake and cook. And every now and then I would get to contribute, but she would have her base recipe that she would use, and then kind of riff from there. And her gifts to people for Christmas would be cakes in Southern style, coconut cakes, caramel cakes, just the good stuff. And that's the first time I was like,
you can create something that way.
Yeah. And my grandmother sewed and made patchwork quilts. Mm-hmm. Everybody I knew made something. My uncle was a pen and ink artist, and he drew comic books for a while.
Wow.
My dad is a carpenter. And by trade he's a machinist. He makes tools. That's what he used to do. Is if you need a tool for something, he would go and pour the metal into the mold and the thing. And so almost everybody I knew made something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's interesting, because my dad worked in sheet metal, and you think that's just kind of industrial job. But I think carpentry and something like that, it is creative. It's creative, almost like an art.
It is an art
to do all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because then he can carve, he can build. He's like, no, you're not. I'm not going to go buy that. I'm going to make that.
Yeah.
And then sitting down and figuring out how am I going to build this cabinet? How am I going to make this sewing box? It's just stuff like that. That's how I think that was the first thing they captured. And then watching my grandma just make these quilts, and we still have them. I still have mine. All the grandkids, we still have them. And you're poor, meaning you can't go to department store and buy a blanket, but that doesn't mean you can't have one. And so I have blanket made out of my grandfather's clothes.
Yeah,
just stuff like that.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And then they would have the other fancy patchwork quilt is down in St. Louis that my mom's mom made, and they're all these sort of established patterns of this is the star of the sky, and then so you would make the little patterns so that they look like a star and a thing, and they would be very specific, and that's what everyone did. Everybody made something.
Yeah. As a kid, did you said you helped your mom cook or contributed a couple times. Did you try your hand at sewing and the other stuff as well?
Yeah. I sew, I crochet. My grandma taught me how to crochet. I taught myself how to knit. I cook, I bake. I riff now. I got to start riffing more because I'm allergic to the world right now. So I'm having to retool all of my baking skills. But it's just fun to me to sit down with a basic recipe and go, okay, that's great, but what can I change about that to make it my own? And what can I do with it that's different? Like I did bacon chocolate cupcakes. So there's maple bacon in the dark chocolate batter with a milk chocolate icing and then a garnish of a thing of bacon on top.
Wow. And you brought these today for me because they sound amazing.
And those are in my purse.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, the failures when, my failures, Kif is like, oh, I'll take your failures. Oh, these aren't great. Oh, great. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, and the recipe is on my own, people say, where's the recipe? I was like, in here. I can't, I'm making it up as I go.
Yeah.
But that's fun to me. It's like not to just take what you're given, but take it and then transform it and go, what are your tastes? Well, my tastes lie in bacon and chocolate.
Exactly. That's great. Yeah.
So yeah, let's do that. Let's see how that works together.
Well, and I think that's, you mentioned this is what your mom does. That is what art is like you're taking something that's already there and kind of adding your spin to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing. Now you are an actress.
Yeah.
You do a lot of stage work.
A lot of stage, yeah.
When did the interest in acting come about?
I've been thinking about this a lot. I've always loved stories. Mm-hmm. Always. I read at any given time. I'm probably reading 3 or 4 different novels, as well as I like actual stories too. Like right now, I'm going through the archive of way back in the day. In order to give people jobs, they had writers, journalists. Interview slaves before they died, like the freeds, like they're like in their 90s and 80s, and so the president said, "Well, you journalists who are out of work during the Depression, go interview slaves." So that's all archived in our in the government library. So I'm like making my way through all these true stories of slave stories. Just like, so that's always been my interest. And then I was like, I want to be a journalist. I want to write, but I didn't want to interview people, because I don't like asking people questions. So that didn't work out too well for me. I'm like, I need to do what? Oh, no, that's their personal business. I can't do that. But I want to be a columnist because I like, they tell great stories. And then I was an athlete for a very long time. I was a scholarship athlete. I was a high jumper.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, well, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life, and I'm not a journalist. I'm not like that. It's not my thing. And I ended up taking like a bunch of classes. My mom was like, just go and take a bunch of classes and whatever. Don't even think about major. Just think what interests you. I was like, oh, I'll take a theater class. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
And I ended up loving it because it was the combination of the two things of like physical life, which I really enjoy, and storytelling all married together. And I think that was the appeal of it.
Yeah. Well, how amazing that your mom was like, because like a lot of times you hear stories of parents like, well, you're going to be a lawyer, and that's what you're going to be. So how amazing to have a mom who was just like, just don't even think about it, just go take classes.
Yeah, it was really wise. I mean, we're coming out of the 70s and the feminism and Gloria Steinem and all that thing. So I think that she was informed by that of like when she was growing up, they were like, you can be a nurse, a teacher, or a social worker.
Right.
And she was like, I can't actually be any of those things. She ended up being a computer scientist.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you have it. And she's a math major. So it's like she knew that, you can't put people into boxes and people will tell you who they are. And she allowed us. And I really appreciate that because I can't imagine being a nurse.
Right. When you were taking all these classes, was that college or was that before college?
It was. I had gone to Michigan State on a scholarship as an athlete, and then got involved with a bit of insurrection and radical behavior at Michigan State University, where we took over the administration building for about 7 days because of racist stuff that was going on. So there was that. But I ended up leaving because it was just not the place for me. It was too mid-Michigan. Just wasn't for me. So then I went to community college, and then I went on and got my degree at the University of Detroit, a Jesuit university, in theater.
In theater.
Yeah.
Theater. And what productions were you in while you were in school? Or like some of your favorite productions that you were in while you were in school?
Oh my God, we did Wojciech, which is a weird little play. I love that play. The first black show that I was in, it was like one of my favorite shows that I did. It was called Jar the Floor. I can't remember the playwright's name, but it was 4 generations of black women. And there was the the Madeir, the grandma, the mom, and then me. And just sort of reconciling the generational differences between the 4 women. And that was pivotal for me because I was like, yay, here's some stories that aren't, and I love Shakespeare. I love the classics, but here's some stories that are about my experience, about what I've gone through and what I know. And it was really nice to be able to sort of just hook in without having to go and do a lot of research and that.
Yeah. And you also, because I read a little bio on you as well. You did. You went to Second City.
Yeah.
You studied at Second City.
Yeah.
And where was that out here? Was that in Chicago?
That was in Detroit.
In Detroit. Okay.
Yeah. They had started right before I went to grad school. That's what because I remember all of my friends auditioning for it. They said, "Oh, we're starting a Second City there," and oh my God! And I hate to say this out loud, but I had no idea what it was. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'd never heard of it. And I was like, oh, good luck with all that. Went to grad school, came back, and a couple of friends of mine were there. My friend Dan Glomsky was there. My friend Keegan Michael Key, he was there. And we had gone to university together, and they were like, come and see the show. And I was like, sure, I'll see the show. Mm-hmm. And I saw the show, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. It's kind of like Saturday Night Live. That's why I had no idea. And then I didn't do improv, because that seems kind of ridiculous and frightening. And they were all like, you should audition. I was like, no. No, I'm good. I'm fine.
Did you not think that you were like maybe not funny, or did you just think like I want to do serious?
I don't know. It seemed just frightening to me. Yeah, it was like, no, that's scary. How about we not do that? Okay. Right. Okay, good. We're good. And they were like, no, you should totally audition. And so I did, and it ended up getting Bruce Wade cast me in Turco. I remember this. He cast me in Turco. He says, now the Second City owns your soul. And I didn't know what that meant, but I do know what it means now.
Yeah.
And then that was that. And I didn't even know what Turco was. And I remember I went to the first rehearsal, and a lot of people gave me the side eye. And, my friend Kirk said, this is what this is. And then I was there for years.
And so you loved it?
Loved it. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. It was great. It was really fun. It was just I thought it was a great way to, what's the word, to combine everything that I had worked so hard on in grad school, which was really, really tough. It's, going to graduate program, they break you down, they yell at you, and all kinds of madness happens, and you get to know yourself. But I needed to play. I needed a place to actually play, take all those things and just sort of meld them all together. And Second City was the perfect place to do that. And there is nothing like night after night after night of improv, just night after night. It's 10,000 hours of it, just doing it, until the point where I'm not scared. I'm not anything. It's just, you're just kind of up there doing it. And if it works, great. Doesn't work, just go back on the back line, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I ended up really loving it and then started teaching. And I love teaching it. I love teaching people who aren't actors because there's just something about watching someone get to know themselves in a completely different way. And the fact that they were brave enough to come in and take this class, because it's a scary thing for a straight actor to come and learn improv, but for a lawyer or, you know, just an accountant to come in and say, no, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, great. You're going to have so much fun. And I had one woman in my class that she was having problems at home and her husband were like, and she just didn't know what to do with her life, midlife crisis. And she said, I'm going to take this class and just have fun. This is for me. By the end of the class, in the class, she's like, I just want to tell you, I'm getting a divorce. I was like, oh no, but it was for good, you know, it was for the better, you know. Yeah. But she had found herself during the course of the class, and I really like the power that it has in that way, because you have to know yourself. You have to, you get your voice. Yeah. And it's your honest voice, and it may be a little scary at first, but it's your voice. Your voice is your voice.
Yeah. After Detroit, I mean, you eventually made your way out here. Did you go anywhere else after Detroit, or did you come to Los Angeles?
I came out here because of Kiff, because this was always the end game for him. And I was
Kiff is your husband,
yeah,
for people who are listening.
Yeah. And this was always the end game for him. And I was like, sure, you know, wherever I feel like I can do this anywhere.
Right.
And I wasn't gung-ho about TV and film, and I mean, not gung-ho, but it wasn't like, oh, that was my focus.
That's your goal, yeah.
And then we had a baby, so that kind of took over all of that. But I didn't know how I would feel about being here, because I'd heard so much about LA is, you know, it's Los Angeles and no one cares about you and that kind of thing. But I love it here. I think it's great. And we talk about this all the time. It is wonderful to be surrounded by so many talented people. Yeah. There's so much talent here, so much creativity. Everyone's making something. Everyone is. It's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing ever. Yeah. But everyone's making some. People are making their own shows, or one-person shows, or puppet shows. You know, people build sets. There's people who make food for the sets. There's writers. It's incredible. Yeah.
And as I mentioned at the top of the show, the Henson Diversity Workshop, the Jim Henson Company kind of threw open the gates and said, we want to see people. What made you decide to apply for that?
I was like, this can't be real. Like, because I saw it on Facebook, and it was like fake news, you know, like, this is not real. Right. And then I called or talked to my friend, Jen Barnhart, and then she was like, no, I think that's a real thing, and I think you should do it. And she was like the description. It was over 5'10" or 5, improv, women, and ethnic diversity. She was kind of like, that's you. That's kind of you. So just send it in, whatever. Just do it. And then just the legacy of, I couldn't resist the legacy of the Henson Company. So yeah.
And had you played with puppets at all before that?
I had not. I had little to no. I was in a puppet show when I was a kid, and I made my own Sleeping Beauty puppet, and I made my own Sleeping Beauty puppet and my own King puppet, like the Prince Sleeping Beauty's father, and that was that. And then I work at Alabama Shakespeare Festival, and when we were doing Merry Wives of Windsor, Jen Barnhart did a Punch and Judy show. All her. She did both puppets. And they built her a booth and everything. And I remember watching her rehearse from the back, and just, it was like watching just sort of insane Olympic dance. And she wrote the script and everything and put on this one person show with so many different voices going on up here. And it was just fascinating. And they built for her, what are they called? The very large puppets. It was like we did the fairies attack Falstaff at the end. So we built this huge puppet where the guys had the
so
poles,
like big giant rod puppet.
big giant rod puppets.
Yeah.
And at the end we had the puppet just swoop out over the stage, and the kids would scream every single time, and it was just amazing. And that was my first experience with that. I was like, well, this is cool. And so we would just every now and then I would just play with her, and that was like, it was nice to have that before, just because it wasn't a familiar world. I think I would have been a lot less. I think I'd have been extremely hesitant if I hadn't had that experience with her, and to watch her love for it, and watch her sense of spirit and fun and expression when it came to puppeteering, and her expertise. She's an amazing puppeteer. That was in recent history, and then that came up, so it seemed like, because then I have another friend who builds puppets in Chicago, and she's like, when puppets come into your life, they stay, you know. It's like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, you were great in the workshop. I mean, I was it was so much fun to watch you learn, and I was learning in that class too, because it was so, working with Kevin Clash is so amazing, and we had a really great time. But just get to watch everybody. Are you continuing with puppets? Yeah.
I still have my setup. Still have my little pink guy that I work with, and I'm going back to Alabama at the end of February to do another show, and Jen will be there. We're not in the same show. She'll be doing Sherlock, and I'll be doing another smaller show. And so we're bringing our puppets. And so we're so very excited, because this is the first time since the Henson workshop that we get to kind of work together, and like not just Skype, you know. And we're like, oh, we get to be girlfriends and we get to be puppeteers together. Whereas the last time I saw her, that wasn't even a thing in my life, and now it is. And then it's taken over the house. My husband has built 2 puppets so far. He's working on a monster right now, but we got to figure out how to get the rods so that they don't look wonky. But puppets came into our life and then stayed.
And they stay.
Yeah. But it was such it was a transformation. It was a transformational experience, that whole thing. I mean, working with Kevin and Patrick.
Yeah.
You know. It just, like, I felt like, oh, here's this door, it's open, you can go through it if you want. It was cool.
It was a fun door to go through.
Yeah.
Well, as we're wrapping up here, I wanted to ask you, it was so fun running into you at Kamikaze in LA, and so you're a big science fiction fan.
Oh my God, huge, yeah.
When did your love for science fiction start?
I can't ever remember not. Since I was little, I would sit and watch. I still do the same. Like, if Star Trek was on, I'm there. Star Wars, and they would show the creature feature shows in Detroit, like a double feature, and they would always be monster movies and stuff like that. Just anything that was fantasy or science fiction just caught my eye. I'm a huge sci-fi reading novels and stuff, and yeah. Yeah, that's my Achilles heel. I don't know if it's Achilles heel. I don't know what. Yeah,
well, it's not your weakness.
It's not my weakness. It's my passion. Yeah. That and Disney.
Disney, yeah.
Yeah, and which has been the best thing about being in LA is, like, having access to the parks. It's just been like I can go whenever I want. Let's go all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kamikaze is great. It's getting so big now.
Yeah.
That it's different than when I first went. Like that first year.
That first year, yeah. I think that's when I saw you there.
Yeah.
Well, Cheri, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Cheri Vanden Huevel is an actress, writer, improviser, and puppeteer, and she was today's guest on 15 Minutes With. 15 Minutes With on the GrantCast is a production of Saturday Morning Media and made possible by the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who've gone to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up a monthly donation for as little as $1 a month. Huge thanks to Shay Stewart, Merle Lafferty, Jeff Peterson, Dale Gadania, Stephen Staver, Jackie Klimo, Melissa Crawford, Chuck, Dave Slusher, Mike Coughlin, Dorothy Baciocco, John D., Kathy Crawford, Brian Greer, Carrie Whitney, Chuck Tomasi, Chris Foster, Stephen Ing, Clinton of ComedyForecast.com, Vicky DeVries, Mike Wobschall, Twitter user Butzinggear, a.k.a. Wildcat, Eve Cunning, Mike Hamilton, Gaston Moreno, Reed Loveland, Ivan Asquith, Vanessa Whitney, Nancy McCarthy, Janine Lee, and Peggy Etra. If you would like to support this show and the other fun content from Saturday Morning Media, become a patron. Head on over to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up your monthly donation today. You can also tell a friend about the show or leave the show a review on iTunes. And while you're over there on iTunes, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get new episodes the moment they are released. If you have feedback for the show, you can send it directly to me at grant@throwingtoasters.com or get in touch via Twitter, where my username is ToasterBoy. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. The GrantCast is copyright 2017 Saturday Morning Media, Grant Baciocco, executive producer, all rights reserved. www.saturdaymorningmedia.com. You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.